What's up, guys, and welcome to Press A repeatedly. Justin here, back from the claws of some angry and sexually aggressive grizzly bears. This thing over here to my left is Chris Gold.
So, how exactly did you escape the grizzly bears, Justin? Because I don't see any claw marks on you.
Let me just say that play dead thing does not work.
Yeah, you mentioned something about these bears being sexually aggressive. What exactly happened out there that gave you that sort of idea?
We can talk about that on another podcast. Maybe on Maury or something.
You are not the father. And a bear just starts going...
We are joined by a very handsome, a very smooth-talking Zul Edwards.
Hey.
See?
Zul, as you'll note, is not a bear, which is both a relief and somewhat of a disappointment. We should have a bear on this show at some point, but instead, we have Zul. Zul, our very good dear friend, who we are very glad to have on the show. Zul, what is up?
Thanks for having me. Nothing. I'm getting over a cold, so if I sound stuffy or if I cough a lot in the background, that's why. Other than that, nothing. Same old stuff. Same old going on.
Thrilling stuff.
Yeah. On the life of the party, boys.
Nice.
Now, I think I'm getting like a cold or something just because you have one and I'm catching it through the microphone, transition.
Well, that's the best way to get rid of a cold.
That's how that works.
Yeah, the best way to
is to give it to somebody else.
Yeah, give it to someone else.
Well, we have a lot for you guys today. If you remember the first time Zul was on the show, we did a true or false episode where I read a handful of statements and then Chris and Zul went back and forth with their opinions of whether they were true or false and then explaining why. And we're going to do that again today. The only difference is that Chris will be the one asking the statements.
Right, so firstly, if you do want to go back and hear the first time we attempted this little game, that was all the way back in episode 3. And now here we are in episode 31.
Back in 1982.
1982, the Milwaukee Brewers went to the World Series. Something else happened in 1982. None of us were alive yet. Well, that's not true. Justin, you and I weren't alive yet. Zul, as we know, is a timeless, some sort of creature, neither alive nor dead.
Yeah, I'm somewhere in the middle, but one day my leap will bring me home to my planet of Zultan.
Yeah, I noticed that whenever you fill out a form for something under age, you just put the square root symbol.
Hasn't failed me yet.
Right, so I'm going to be asking the true or false statements this time, so they are guaranteed to be both uninteresting and terrible. But Zul and Justin are going to do their best to provide some interesting dialogue, and we'll see what they have to say about what I have to say.
Sounds good.
Yes, indeed.
But first, we should kick things off with some of the video games we've been playing. So, Zul, since you are our guest, you will wait as I ask our co-host, Justin, what are you playing?
What are you playing? Oh, that was a sick play of emotions there.
It's all right. It's all right.
Well, you won't have to wait too long because I have been playing a lot of video games this week, but really it's just been one game mostly, which is Destiny 2. And nice. I was, again, being fondled by bears last week, so I missed last week's episode. It's fun as hell. Like, I'm not a big first-person shooter guy. I think the last first-person shooter that I played to completion was maybe GoldenEye on the 64. Just never really something that I would play on my own. Yeah, I'll play it over a friend's house or something, but like just never really got too into them. And the reason why I wanted to get Destiny 2 was because all of my friends were playing it. So I was like, yeah, I should really join in. And I was really surprised of just how much fun it is. And you guys can totally jump in here because I know we've all been playing Destiny 2.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, definitely. Same exact boat. Like, I'm not big on first-person shooters, but then Dave was like really into Destiny 1, and I never saw the appeal of it. I just thought it was like, a first-person shooter made by the Halo guys. So I'm like, whatever. I'll pass on this one. And then this one came around, and I saw the reviews, I saw the videos, and I saw that everybody else was picking it up. So yeah, I'm not big on first-person shooters, but this game is like tons of fun. I just play it all the time.
Yeah, it's just like I talked about it a lot last week with Dave. It just feels so good. Like, just the movement, the shooting, like the combat is so satisfying. Doing all the missions, being able to join up with random people in helping take down like a giant boss or doing a public event. It's just so many things that work so well with this game. It's just, they hit all the right notes with this one.
My initial thoughts of a strictly online game was kind of weird. It's kind of tough to basically give someone a game that they can only play if they're connected to the internet. But last night, I'm running through the campaign. I think I'm level 17 now, and I'm light level or power level 160 something. And I just kept dying at this one boss, and I was like, "Oh God, this is so annoying! I just want to blast through the campaign so I can unlock the other online features." And then I was like, "Wait, I could just have somebody help me out." So I texted you, Zul, last night as a hired gun, and then we like ran through a lot more of the campaign last night to help like bump me up quicker. And it's just like, it's definitely easier, but also more fun because you're doing it with a buddy and not just like, stressing yourself out. And it was still tough. I mean, there was that one boss fight with the invisible robot guy that took us like a long time.
Yeah, I hate that guy.
Yeah, so he was rough. Played some of the Crucible the other night, the PvP section of Destiny 2, and it was without a doubt the most miserable time I've ever had playing a video game. And that. Going back to your email a couple weeks ago, Zul, that has nothing to do with like the game. It's just that I am absolutely atrocious at PvP,
right? And
it sucks because like I'm not good, and I want to get better, but I feel like it's impossible to get better because, all right, it felt like I equated it to this. Okay, when I was younger, I used to go to the beach a lot during the summer, and sometimes the waves in the ocean would be like really strong, like there was a strong current or like just a strong storm the night before, so the waves were really powerful. And sometimes I would get like hit by a wave and knocked underwater, and then like try to regain my footing, and every time I stand up again, another wave would come and just hit me and just repeatedly keep knocking me underwater. I'm spinning around underwater just trying to stand up and do something. I can't do anything, and then eventually I just get out of the water because it's not fun. And that's essentially PvP for me in a nutshell, because I just keep dying every 2 seconds. Like, I don't know how I can improve if every time I go in there, I literally, like, I see a flash of a person coming, and then before I can even turn around to even try to shoot at them, I'm already dead.
Are you sure you're not like a drowned ghost or something? Because that sounds horrifying, that beach experience.
You get used to it. I think a part of growing up, going to the beach a lot, is like, today I might be smashed around in the water, and
today I might die,
might have
be dragged into the briny deeps with Davy Jones. This sounds fun.
Pretty much, Well, you're never in like deep enough water unless you go really far. I was always maybe like up to my waist or something, or whatever. But still, like the waves can really smash you around. And I used to boogie board, and I remember one time I took in a wave, and I'm on my boogie board, and I guess the wave just kind of like dropped out from behind me, and my boogie board just nosedived like straight down into like the mud underneath the water, and then like my entire body was balanced on the back of the boogie board, like it was just like digging into my stomach, and then like a wave came and smashed into me, and I'm like, on the ground, like scraping against all these jagged shells on the bottom of the seafloor.
And people ask me why I don't like the beach.
Yeah, but it was fun.
Gotcha.
This is stuff you do when you're a kid.
I guess so.
I know, Zul, you have similar feelings. Chris, you claim to have similar feelings, but I feel like you were having a lot of fun the other night when we were playing that PvP match.
It was more of like, see, here's the thing. I am like you in that I'm not very good at the PvP at all. But
I don't know, man. You had
just
8 kills that first battle.
Yeah, I had like 8 kills, but also like 6, 7 deaths. Yeah, my kill-death ratio was not great.
It's better than
round.
mine of 1 kill and 24 deaths.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, Justin, when we were doing the Crucible the other night, the first round, Justin had a kill-death ratio, they call it efficiency, but of 0.08.
That sounds about right.
Please tell the entire world my ratio. No, it's fine. I own it. 0.08.
Yeah,
and then the second match was 0.24.
Yeah, mine honestly wasn't too much better than that, but I don't know. It was just one of those things where I just mentally accepted it. I was like, all right, I'm terrible at this. I'm going to fail many, many times. Like, all right, just shrug my shoulders and just roll with it. Just try to do the best I can. Like, they were, because when you look at it from that perspective and you're doing PvP, those rare moments where you actually do get a kill on someone, it's like, oh my God, I just killed a man. And you're like, so, like,
whoa, take it easy.
Like, you're like, this is amazing. But you get over that initial shock of like, wow, I actually beat someone. Like, I took them out before they could take me out. And, it's one of those things where you have to, if you want to get better at it, you just have to keep going at it. Like, just try to figure out, okay, how did that guy get me? Maybe I'll do this to adapt to that, and just try to learn. And I know it's difficult when you are a drowned ghost to get better at PvP, but it's one of those things. You just have to keep going at it. Now, I know you in particular didn't have a lot of personal enjoyment out of the game, so you may not want to actually get better at the PvP, although Dave has insisted that you have to.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is that, so even if you lose a PvP match, you still get some rewards and some loot, and like, that's great. But according to Dave, who was like, our resident Destiny expert, and he's like way farther than everybody else, but he basically is saying that there's some high level gear later that you can only get from like winning the Crucible. And it's not just you have a team of 3 other players that you'll be playing with, but I'm like so bad, I don't know if I could even like help a team that's really good win a match. And like, it might be harder for me to get that stuff because I'm not good at PvP, and I don't know, that seems kind of lame.
Yeah, I agree. For like the main game to be like all PvE and like, just shooting robots, and then at the end game basically tells you have to be good at PvP. That seems kind of like a weird pivot because,
yeah,
if you suck at PvP, then like, what are you supposed to do? Just like, get to a certain point and just like cap and just be like, well, I guess I'm done with the game. I don't know. I feel like that's how it's going to end up for me because I didn't play PvP with you guys, I don't think, with you and Chris, but I played with
No, we haven't played together in PvP.
Yeah, I played with Nick and Butch one or two rounds, and just, man, like, Butch is good at it, but me and Nick were just not performing well.
Yeah, well, Butch has decades of experience in combined hours with competitive gaming and doing PvP in a lot of other different games, so he knows what's up. He knows a lot of the strategies to use and where to go and what to be and all that sort of stuff. He has all that experience because a PvP is his jam.
That's true.
And I mean, plus two, like, just one last note, like, you compare the PvP to something like Overwatch, which is a more strictly PvP experience versus what you have in Destiny 2. And it's just, I mean, they do a really good job in that game because you have all the different characters and each one has different abilities. So each time you go into the game, you have like all these different teams mixed and matched up, and you wonder, okay, who am I going up against? What strategies do I have to use against these characters? It's always something different, and it's something new. With Destiny 2's PvP, you really only have the 3 different Guardian classes, and in a PvP environment, they're really not all that different from one another. Like, they all just look and feel the same. So it's just running around a fairly tiny map and just shooting what looks like the same types of people over and over. Like, you just hope to get the drop on them.
Yeah, definitely.
Pretty much.
And if it sounds like I'm talking shit on PvP because I suck at PvP, that's exactly what I'm doing. So I'm not blaming the game or anything like that. It's just, I think it's kind of lame to sort of force everybody to play PvP kind of when there's some people that just don't want to even open up, Crucible at all.
I agree wholeheartedly.
But aside from that, I mean, I'm loving every other aspect of this game. It's beautiful. Like, the environments are just stunning. The gunplay feels great. Even the AI, I feel, is pretty good. Like, I like how if you're hiding behind a wall and, they're all shooting at you, one of the guys will throw, like, a grenade at you to fish you out of there. Like, it's pretty cool. And, like, the boss battles are really cool. The public events are a lot of fun. I like the option of playing, like, adventures or just other things to do in, like, the social hub area of the different planets and stuff. The game's got a lot to offer, surprisingly. And I think they learned a lot from Destiny 1 when it launched with really nothing. And I guess we'll see what's down the pipeline for their next DLC that will be coming out whenever that comes out.
Yeah, we have to all get powered up and do one of those raids.
Yeah, looking forward to that. I'm working my way through the campaign. I think we're almost done.
Yep, same.
The only other thing I've played was after the Nintendo Direct, they announced a free demo of Project Octopath Traveler. Chris, I know you've been playing this too, and you've played it more than me, so I'll let you kind of go into more detail. But my initial impressions are that it is another beautiful game with this really intricate and interesting 3D pop-up book art style, but still with sprite graphics. And it sounds weird, but when you see it in action, it really looks awesome, and it really sucks you into the game. The music is, of course, fantastic. It reminds me of any SNES JRPG, and I'm getting strong Final Fantasy VI vibes from the game, not just from the sprite work, but just the overall, I guess, tone and like the art direction of the towns that you're in and everything. And I like when you're in a battle, it's very Final Fantasy where like the sprites come in from the left side and the sprites of the bad guys are like really well developed, like really high resolution, like creepy looking sprites, and then your guy is just the regular sprite, on the other side of the screen. The battle is made by the team that worked on Bravely Default, and the battle system kind of has that mechanic of where you can like store up attacks and then kind of release them all at once again. It's a little confusing, but I haven't given the battle too much time yet. I want to finish that. And there's 2 playable characters. I played as the warrior. I'm midway through that one. I want to finish that and then go play as the other character who's like a dancer or something. And it really just looks great. The only thing that's weird is that it has voice acting and it's good voice acting, but I would argue that the game like this does not need voice acting because it's kind of weird. It like doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't really mesh well with the aesthetic of the game, and it was kind of taking me out a bit. and not all the scenes are voice acted. Like if you're walking around a town and you're talking to somebody, that's not voice acted. But they always like start, if you start talking to them, they'll say something like, "Hey, what? Hello, hi, let's go." Like every time you talk to somebody, and that's really annoying.
Yeah.
But people don't say those things to you when you just start talking to them.
Not necessarily all the time, but yeah, it's weird. But it's fun, and it's, if you're a fan of any classic RPGs, check it out. And I think it's like a beta test almost, where after the demo is done, you can contact Square with your opinions about it, and like that seems pretty cool. So I'm definitely gonna do that. And yeah, that's it for me this week. So I guess I will pass this flaming hot bowl of Cheetos to Zul.
My least favorite of the Cheetos.
Now,
They're good, man.
Hold
They're
up.
good.
They're not good.
Hold up. Need clarification. Are the flaming hot Cheetos, like, is it the flavor of the Cheetos, or is the bowl of Cheetos itself flaming hot?
I'll leave that. Well, you'll see when the bowl gets to you.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Okay.
I don't want to spoil the surprise.
All right, I'll put on some thick gloves just in case.
Thank you for this flaming bowl of Cheetos. Yeah, I've been playing, like you, playing a lot of games, but just one game, just playing Destiny 2. I've shared my opinions. It's great. It's fun. I find myself every day, because every day there's like a different daily challenge. It's kind of like routine now, like either before work or after work, like depending on when I have to go in. I'll just like pop on and see what the challenge is, and if I can do it, I'll do it. If I can't, I'll do it like later in the night. But yeah.
Are they hard? Like I haven't done any of them yet.
No,
Are they like
not really. Like the one yesterday that I had to do was go to Titan and just complete all the challenges. And challenges are just things that pop up after you're level 20, I think. And it's just like do a what are those little tiny missions called again? With the weird symbols.
adventure?
No, not adventures. They're like the
Strike?
No, not a strike. It's like
Nightfall?
No. It's like in the map there's like a little symbol. Oh, lost sector, that's it. It's like it's like complete a lost sector on this area of the map, and then like collect 10 of these things in this area of the map, or kill 75 fallen or in this part of the map or something like that. So they're just like little dumb little challenge things. But like yeah, I'll just do those and just I don't know. See what else is going on. Maybe see if you guys are playing and do a strike or something. But yeah, that's it for Destiny 2. I got Monster Hunter Stories came out earlier this month. I picked that up.
Yeah.
Sadly, I haven't been playing it a ton because I think it was either the day before or the day after I got it, Destiny 2 came out. So I was just kind of been focusing on that. But I've played it a lot. I'd say maybe I'm like 10 hours in, I want to say. Because I downloaded the demo on the Nintendo eShop. And I guess the demo was just the first part of the game. Like, it's just, like, straight up the first part of the game. Because I played the demo, and then you get to a certain point, and it says, pick up the game when it releases September, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, all right, whatever. So I pick up the game, and literally it just said, like, load your file. And I loaded the file, and it was exactly where I left off at the demo, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah. That's such a great use of a demo,
Yeah.
It's like, you sucker them in, and then they don't have to worry about having to play all over again from the beginning, and, like, you just seamlessly pick up right from where you left off. And I feel like a lot of games, 3DS games in particular, have that sort of mechanic thing. And like the last two Bravely Default games, they had their own demos that were like pre-stories that you didn't even have to play for the real game, but it was like a good 8 or 9 hour story of just like setting up the game, and that was really cool too.
Yeah, I remember putting a lot of hours in that Bravely Default demo when it first came out, and being very surprised at how large it was. Because I remember back in the day, like, you used to get those like demo discs in PlayStation Magazine or stuff like that, and like it was just like one level. I mean, technology has moved forward, but I just remember, whenever I think of demo, I just think like, just one level just to get a feel for the game. But no, this was it was like at least 3 hours if you blasted through it, and the Monster Hunter Stories one. But Yeah, it's really fun. It's like it's different from obviously different from other Monster Hunter games. You know, it's not like an action fighting, not fighting game, but action. You know, third person, third open world kind of game. It's an RPG. It's a turn based game. The mechanics are really simple. It's kind of like a rock paper scissors system. It's like you know, power attacks beat speed attacks, speed attacks beat technique attacks, and technique attacks beat power attacks. So you kind of just got to see what kind of monster it is. Like if it's like, you know, one of those little dinosaur guys, they're obviously going to use speed attacks. So, you know, use something different against them. But yeah, the story is cute so far. I like the characters. I really like the whole aesthetic of it, like that anime-ish kind of style. It's really nice. But yeah, it's fun. I want to give it more time, but every time I'm home and I just want to play something quick, I just pop on Destiny. So maybe when I, you know, hit a peak, I'll get back into it. But yeah, it's not like other Monster Hunter games. Like if you like other Monster Hunter games, don't go into this game thinking it's like that at all. It's not. Think of it more like I'm trying to think of like a cutesy RPG. I can't really think of one off the top of my head, but it's like
Pokemon.
Yeah, it's kind of like Pokemon. That's a good one. It's you have, I guess it's a lot like Pokemon now that I think about it, because you can pick different monsters. You don't really capture them in the same way Pokemon does. You kind of have to go into a monster's cave and steal its eggs, and then you bring the eggs back into town, and then like it's kind of random like what monster you get.
It just sounds like a horrible idea.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes there's monsters in there sleeping, and then you gotta like run away from them, or if they catch you, you gotta fight them, and sometimes they're really tough. But yeah, it's fun. It kind of flew under everybody's radar, I think, just because it was like, I feel like there was no marketing for it. It just kind of came out one day in September, and then I think they're kind of focusing on Monster Hunter World and just sort of like, yeah, here, take this game to hold you over until then. So that's that. But besides Monster Hunter, so another thing that flew completely under my radar that I saw on Twitter was just they re-released Final Fantasy IX on the PS4 eShop, which was weird because it was already on the PS3 eShop. But yeah, so this is like the updated HD version that I think was on mobile phones, and then it was on Steam. And now, for whatever reason, they're releasing it on PS4. So, I mean, that's my favorite Final Fantasy. So I just got it again, and I'm just like, yeah, whatever, I'll play this again. And like, oh man, I don't know. As soon as I started playing it again, like I was just like, all these memories came like flooding back to me. It was like amazing. So I was just like, yeah, you know, I'll buy this, support it, even though, you know, that team doesn't exist anymore. And I was just like, I don't know, man. I was playing it for like 5 hours already the other day, and just like I love that game so much.
I'm glad you brought that up because I saw that same, you know, article that was coming out on PS4, and that it was the new like mobile high definition version. I really want to play that game, but I would like, doesn't matter what should I rather buy an old PS1 copy of the disc and play the original like game, or is it really that different with the HD like graphic upgrade or whatever?
No, I mean, from what I've played, it's not different. It looks a ton better, like, because I guess at the time the PS1 graphics were like, they were trying to make it look great, but it just really wasn't. Everything was really muddy. Like there's things now that I'm noticing that like I never noticed on the PS1 version, just because like the graphics were so like the textures were really bad,
like smeared.
Yeah, like the only thing that's a little bit different about this version is the pre-rendered backgrounds look a little like blurry almost. I guess they like, you know, they smeared Vaseline on the screen to make it look like not so like blurry, but like the actual like polygons and sprites and stuff look like 10 times better. The menus are a little bit different, but it's not a big deal. I wouldn't say I prefer this version, but I mean, no, you don't have to go back and play like, you know, the old school version. Like it's basically the same game. It's just the graphics are better, the menus are a little bit different, and that's pretty much it. I mean, I don't know. If you want to play it, I would get this version because it's better than the PS3 one, because the PS3 one is just a direct port of the PS1 one. So it has that same like muddy look to it. But yeah, I'm having fun with this one. It looks and plays great.
All right, cool. Good to know.
But I think that's it. Final Fantasy IX is great. Play it. I love it. It's my favorite one. Yeah. Chris, you're up to to the Flaming Cheetos.
All right, Flaming Cheetos for me. Have not been able to play too much this week. Again, as with everyone else, I've been playing a lot of Destiny 2. And not to belabor any points, just, last night Nick and I we were running together as part of a fire team. And we just went from different planet to different planet, doing a lot of different side missions, public events. Nick found a few lost sectors that we wound up exploring, and it's it's just such a beautiful game. That game, like, I shared a screenshot of one view that I had on IO, and it's just, man, like, the textures in this game, like the aesthetic of it is just jaw-dropping sometimes. Like, you have to just stop and stare. It's incredible what they've done. Like, bravo, Bungie. Let me see. The other game I really played this week, I was hoping to play more, but I only had time for the one. Justin, you alluded to this earlier, was Project Octopath Traveler. Now, Justin, you mentioned that you started out as the warrior, which is great because I started out as the dancer, Primrose.
Oh, nice.
I mean, the game starts out like her story is, I'm sure it's completely different from what the warrior's story, whose name escapes me at the moment. Her story starts out very differently. And I don't know, I kind of have to disagree with your point earlier about the voice acting not being necessary. I would agree if it was terrible and if it like took you out of the game, but I feel like the voice acting in this game is so good and so strong that like it helps immerse you more into the actual experience. Like, it adds a level of emotion, and like it just gives it that extra oomph that just reading it yourself, reading the text wouldn't necessarily give. Like, the performances, like, it can't be understated. They're just really, really good, even for some of the more useless side characters that ordinarily I would not care about, but the voice actors do a good job in trying to get you to care about them.
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good point. It does definitely get you maybe a little more involved. I guess for me, it was just that, like, this game made me think like I was sitting in front of my Super Nintendo playing like an RPG, and none of them ever had any sort of voice acting. So the fact that it did was what was kind of taking me out. I don't think it was bad at all. I think it was great voice acting, and I can definitely see your point there.
Yeah, I liked your point about comparing it to some like Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy VI. It absolutely has a very similar aesthetic to those games, and I really love the half 2D, half 3D look to it. It almost looks like if they took Chrono Trigger, and the camera for Chrono Trigger is a top-down perspective, but if they grabbed that camera and tilted it downwards, so it's not necessarily like horizontal with the sprites, but like kind of at an angle, so you're looking
like a
down
45-degree angle.
Yeah, at a 45-degree angle rather than straight top down. That's kind of the look there, and where this effect really shines most brightly, no pun intended, was in the lighting. Like, your character will be at one point exploring this dungeon, and I'm holding a lantern, and I'm running down this hallway, and there are pillars, and as you're running down, like, the light like just gets stronger at one end, and it like passes through, and it lights up these areas on the other side, and it's just so well done. It's just such a nice level of polish, and it's such a nice touch because it just makes the whole world feel more real, even though it's all just sprite based and pixel based graphics.
Now, you beat it?
I did not beat it. It turns out the final boss, and again, I'm not going to spoil anything, not going to mention anything. I mean, it's a relatively short demo, so even so, I'm not going to spoil anything, but the last boss, I was like bashing my head up against the wall, like trying to take this guy out. Like, you get these moves, and as Justin said, you can chain these attacks together by hitting, I forget what it's called, starts with a B. The more turns in a row you don't use that move, the more opportunities you get to actually chain those moves together. So say you haven't chained anything for like 3 moves and then decide, all right, I'm going to attack this guy like 4 times, then you can chain your attack then plus the 3 times before that you didn't use it, and just boom, just attack. And you can do that with your attacks, your regular attacks. You can use that with magic attacks. And I was, in the dungeon, I was just mowing through a lot of the enemies that you were encountering, and it uses the old school random encounter system, but it's not as frequent as it is in a lot of those older RPGs, especially like Final Fantasy VI, where you couldn't take like 4 or 5 steps before hitting another random encounter. It's definitely much less frequent in this game, which is a welcome relief. But I'm mowing through these smaller enemies very quickly, and then I get to the boss, and he has a couple of lackeys with him, and I just obliterate the lackeys in nothing flat, and then I just start doing I start chaining these attacks, and I'm hitting this guy, I'm doing like 200 damage, 500 damage, 400 damage. He is not dying at all, and he's doing damage to me, and he has this like one move that takes away, if your health bar was full, it would take away half your health. So if you get like below half your health and you're fighting this guy, you have to use a healing item, because otherwise one hit will kill you. And so I'm hitting this guy, and eventually, like, just over time, he's wearing me out because I run out of my healing stuff, I run out of my SP restoring items, and he just wears me down and then kills me at the end. And the extremely annoying thing about this is there's a save point, and you have a traveler with a green hat. He's a person you talk to, and he'll save your progress. This person is right at the end of the dungeon, and you fight this boss like just outside the dungeon. There is a very long, unskippable cutscene right before fighting this boss, and you have to sit through it every single time. Now, you can technically skip, like, because there's dialogue options not dialogue options, but there's dialogue during the scene. So if you just hit the next button over and over again, you can like fast forward through the dialogue and just get through it as fast as you can. But yeah, it's very annoying having to go through that cutscene over and over again just so that I can die to this boss again and again. So, I mean, I thought I had done enough grinding to take him out, but obviously I'm gonna have to go back into the dungeon and grind a little bit more and just get myself to a good level where this guy isn't killing me every single time, because like I want to kill this guy. Like, throughout the story, he's been built up as such a sleaze and a complete slime ball, and I just want to kill him so bad, but he keeps killing me, and that's very, very frustrating for multiple reasons.
Grind up, and then grind his face in.
I am going to do just that. That really is it for me. Definitely hoping to have more for next week, but I think that's everybody, which means it's time. I'm rubbing my hands together, Justin. I'm excited. It's time for the Indie Arcade.
Indie Arcade.
Now, for those of you who may not remember, a couple weeks ago, I gave Justin the classic best-selling hit on the Nintendo Switch, VROOM in the Night Sky, as his Indie Arcade title. Justin, take us away.
VROOM in the Night Sky, the game that I thought would never catch up to me, caught up to me, and I was forced to play it. And it's the worst game I've ever played in my entire life.
That good?
Oh, well, here's the thing. It's not like a bad game in the sense of like it's buggy or like it's, well, it kind of is too, but like it's a bad game because it is so boring. Okay. You're playing as a witch, okay? But this game was I think it's a Korean team made this game. And you're not, oh no, was it? I can't remember. You're not considered a witch in the game. In the game, you're considered magical girl. So you're just like, oh, I'm a magical girl who flies through the sky and goes through 10 rings and then reaches the end of the level, and like that's a level basically. Now, you're a witch. So what vehicle do you think you would fly on to fly through the air? You would think like a broom or something, because witches fly on brooms. It's just what they do. It's a typical witch thing. But no, you're flying through the air on different types of bicycles and motorcycles, and they're not like bikes or motorcycles that are shaped like a broom or like don't have wheels or anything. No, these are straight up like 50 style like bikes and motorcycles that have pedals and wheels, and you buy one, and then you start a level and you start pedaling, and then for some reason you just go straight up into the air and you're flying through the air on a motorcycle or a bike.
Do you have hugs?
I haven't seen one yet. I haven't unlocked them all because there's like 7 or 8 that you can unlock, and then like the first couple cost like a very small amount of whatever the currency is of the game, but then like the ones at the end are like 200,000, like something obscene. Like no one in the world has ever played this game enough to gather that much currency to buy these bikes.
Not yet. They haven't.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I tried to play this game to completion because it looks like there's only 8 levels. Like when you go to the level select screen, and you start a level, you fly through the rings, you get to the end, the level's over. You can beat a level in like a minute and a half. There's no enemies. There's just a big open room with barely anything in it. Like one level's a city, so there's like maybe 3 or 4 buildings, and then like the rest is just open ground, grass with like a road on it or something. And then you're just up in the air. They're getting these rings that are just floating in the air. And then that's it. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna beat this game just so I can say I beat this game for the podcast. And I did the first 5 levels, and then the 6th level was blacked out, and I couldn't unlock it for some reason. And the game doesn't tell you what you're supposed to do to unlock it. I just like could not access it. So I thought, oh, maybe I didn't beat the last level fast enough or beat it with enough whatever points. So I did the previous level, a couple more times. Nothing, like still unlocked. I had legitimately no idea what to do. So I go into the store and I'm like, I think I'll spend some of my money or whatever. And I bought a bike that I could buy, like a mid-grade bike. And I'll go back to the level select, and level 6 is unlocked. So somehow, because I bought a new bike, the level unlocked, I guess. And then I beat level 6, and the same thing happened with level 7. So I went back to the store to buy another new bike. But it was like one of the ones that was like 20,000 points or whatever. And I was like, I'm not going to keep doing the same levels over and over again to gather points. So when you're flying through a level, you gather points. That there's like these little, I don't remember what they're called. Let's just say they're crystals, okay? Crystals flying around the area. They're like coins in Mario. You know, they're in different locations. You fly into them to pick them up. But you also get crystals if you do like a power break, and you can't see, but I'm doing air quotes as I say power break, which is basically just you hit the brake button and turn, and then it says like power break plus 45 crystals or whatever. But like you just like slowly turn. It's like I'm making a sharp turn left or right. So you could like abuse that system if you wanted to get like 1 million crystals, but it would take forever. Oh God. So, this game, the most horrible but also the most endearing part of this game is that the translation is atrocious. It is so bad. And it feels like the creators just put their dialogue into like Google Translate, and then whatever it said, they just put it into the game. Whenever the characters are talking to each other, in like the left corner of the screen, you'll see like dialogue balloons like pop up. And the things they say are so bizarre and like don't make sense that it's hilarious. It's funny. Like that was the only part of the game that kept me laughing at in any sense. I'm trying to think what else this stupid game had. Halfway through a level, your rival appears, like Shining Star Girl, I think is her name, or something like that. And then like she just starts driving around and saying, "Oh, I'm so pretty, and I'm so prettier than you." And then your character is like, "Oh, I'm not pretty." And then you have this little like chibi Japanese bird thing that is like your friend. And then the friend's like, "I'm not going to answer that." And like this happens like every level. But your
I'm
rival
not going to answer that.
Your rival
All right, Justin, I think you're very pretty.
Thank you very much. Your rival can go through one of your rings, the 10 rings, and then it like takes the ring away from the game, and she's like, "Ha ha ha," and then you're like, "Wait, no, give that back to me," and you have to go and chase your rival down, and I didn't know what you were supposed to do because, again, this game doesn't tell you anything. So I'm, like, ramming into the rival. I'm, like, following her. Like, nothing's happening. And she's like, "Come to me. Follow me." I'm like, I'm literally crashing into you right now. And nothing is happening.
Just running over her face.
And then I think I, like, accidentally hit R1 or R2. And it fired my little chibi friend, like, as a bullet. And then, like, it comes back to you. And I was like, "Oh, I have, like, a weapon." I had no idea that I even had this thing. And so, when you also have a gas meter, okay, that ticks down. You would think, okay, I have to be self-aware of this gas because I need enough gas to beat a level. But it goes down so slow. Like, you could literally drive around for 10 minutes, and it would go from 100% to 98%. It's, like, so pointless. And there's like a gas refill area that if you just fly over it, it fills you back to 100, like no problem. And I noticed that whenever you fired your little friend as like a gun, it takes a lot of your gas away. So I guess that makes sense to refill. But you don't ever need to fire the gun. Like there's no need except for, all right, your rival stole the ring, and don't know what to do. So I hit her with the bullet. And it didn't do anything, so I was like, all right, I guess that's not what I'm supposed to do either. And I'm spending like 5 minutes trying to figure out how to get this last ring from her. And I just randomly shot her again, and this time it triggered, and like the ring like came out of her and like went somewhere else so I could go through it. It was like so ridiculous.
Let me get this straight. So on your motorcycle, you have a gas-powered gun that can fire a bird for the express purposes of it for this mission to fire this bird at another motorcycle that is flying through the air.
Everything you said is correct except for this mission because it's for every mission. Every level of the game is the same thing. 10 rings, your rival comes into the stage halfway through, she insults you about how she's prettier than you, and then she might steal a ring, and if she does, you have to get it back from her, and then go to the end of the level. And the music is like terrible, and it's the same track for like every level. It is. This game was $10.
Hey, at least you got music as you played your game. I was just greeted by the sounds of literal air rushing through the environment.
Oh man. It's just.
So, you liked it?
I did not like VROOM in a Nice Guy. It was boring. It was not fun. I just I wasted one of my precious nights playing that instead of playing Destiny. I was extremely annoyed.
So I just
mean,
I just looked it up because I don't have a Switch, and I've only really heard of this game through this podcast. I looked it up, and it's a 17 on Metacritic.
It is one of the lowest rated games on Metacritic I've ever seen. I think it's the lowest. I think it is either the lowest rated game or among the lowest rated games.
Yeah. To be fair, Life of Black Tiger, it doesn't have a user. I mean, it has a user score, but it doesn't have like a Metacritic like critic score. I guess it was so shitty nobody even wanted to review it. I don't know.
It's the thing. Here's the thing. You can't trust user reviews of this game because I looked up user reviews. They are all extremely sarcastic.
Yeah, they all gave
about that game.
Yeah, the user score is really high. Everybody gave it like a 10, but that's just making fun of it.
Yeah, people were literally writing like, "This is the greatest game you've ever played. It's so immersive." Like,
I just wanted to say briefly, I forgot. I took a couple screenshots of when I first started playing the game, and literally right on the title screen, right when you boot it up, there's like a little message from your chibi friend, and it says, "Are you the first time to play this game?" Question mark. And then I have another screenshot of the conversation between my rival, myself, and my little chibi friend. And like, there's a level where you're driving through these like smokestack things, and the rival says, "The air is polluted. Cough, cough." And cough is spelled COFF, COFF. And then my character says, "Cough, cough," the same way. And then here's where it gets funny. The chibi says, "Cough, cough," the same way. And that's the dialogue of Room in a Nice Guy.
That's funny. What's funny too is the developers actually released a patch for this game in an attempt to fix the broken dialogue, but I remember at the time when that patch went live, people said it just made the translations worse.
Oh god, yeah, they're terrible. All right, so that's Room in a Nice Guy.
All right, so we're even.
We are even. We both paid $10 for games that are not worth $10. That they're games that are worth the developers paying us $10 to play.
Hell yeah.
All right, so Chris, you deserve a free game this week.
Oh,
I hopped on over to itch.io and I was browsing their free games, and this one little game caught my eye. That game is called Empty. In Empty, everything must go. A simple Zen-like puzzle that has no clock and no score. Clear the room of all the objects by rotating it. If an object is not visible, it's not there anymore. And it controls with the pan with the mouse or touch. So basically, it's like a minimalistic art style game where there's like a few different colors. Like, let's say there's a blue accent wall and there's a blue bike in the room. You need to rotate the entire room so that you're looking at it as an angle, at an angle where the blue bike is blended in with the blue wall, and then it will fully erase the bike from the room. And then you have to basically do that for all the other objects in the room to get through a level. Yeah, it looks cool. Like, I like the art style a lot, and it looks really like relaxing.
No, this does look really cool. Yeah, like it's kind of got like the blocky aesthetic to it. Yeah, very colorful though.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's much to it, but I mean, it looks like a pretty relaxing Zen-like game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an itch.io game, so I don't know if this is still in development or not, or if this was the developer just experimenting a little. But it looks like it's they had an update December 2016. So I guess the game is finished, but still it looks really interesting. I'm really excited to give this a try.
All right. Oh God, that game. Still have a bad taste in my mouth. What do you say we take a break, and when we return, it'll be time for the return of Video Game True or False.
Wow.
As soon as I'm done eating these flaming hot Cheetos.
Yeah, pass that bowl back over here.
No, get your own.
That is my own.
That's mine now.
Welcome back. It is time for young Christopher to tease our minds with some true or false statements.
Oh boy.
All right. So I have a few things here that I want to say. And again, you guys are going to say whether they are true or whether they are false. And then we're going to just kind of discuss each one a little bit. So the first one is going to go to Zul. Zul, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right. The PUBG developers are right to be mad at Epic Games for shoehorning in a battle royale mode for Fortnite.
False. You can't, copyright a genre. Was, Final Fantasy wrong to heist Dragon Quest's shtick? That's stupid. They obviously they want to capitalize on it and be the only kids in the sandbox, but they're not. You can't just say this. We made this game this way. That's dumb. That's a big false. That's silly.
Right, Justin?
I'm going to agree with Zul here. I saw that article the other day, and I was just scratching my head about that. And I tried to think of why they would do this. And I think the main reason is that they're probably frustrated that they're still in early access, that this game is still not officially out, and maybe they're afraid that something might happen if they don't get it out in time, that maybe a game that already is, considered out and available might be able to be considered the first game to do that because they're officially out. I don't know. It's strange for me. But I mean, PUBG isn't the first game to do that. There was it all started, but it was a mod, right? For H1Z1, I think. I know it was the same guy.
Right, Brendan Green.
Player Unknown himself was the guy that created that mod.
Right.
But I think a couple other games sort of had, not the exact same thing, but kind of similar idea. And yeah, you can't trademark a genre, And Fortnite developers even outright said we're huge fans of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and we want to expand this idea to other games. Do I think it's right to do that? I mean, I guess why wouldn't you? It's gonna sell, but it's huge right now. I can see where a little bit of anger could be coming from the PUBG team. But again, I think a lot of it is just stemming from the fact that their game isn't officially out in the marketplace yet, and they're running out of time to get it out this year. And I don't know if they will.
As the one side thing, it's people, isn't PUBG the number one rated Steam on all time? There's always a million people playing it at once. Why would they automatically think that just because another game in the same genre comes out, everybody's gonna abandon this game that they've been playing nonstop and play another game?
Yeah.
That's that seems really dumb. It seems like bad PR. Why would they go out of their way to even acknowledge it? Just be oh yeah, it's fine, whatever. People are still gonna play our game. They should have just rolled with the punches. It just seems a little silly for them to lash out like that.
Yeah, and it's nothing new. The PUBG team better get used to this, because a lot of games are going to be mimicking this idea.
Oh, seriously.
It happens for everything. If a good movie comes out, a lot of people make their movies like that movie. You know, if a really good game comes out, it's going to be sort of like the same style. When Breaking Bad came out, man, like there was so many Breaking Bad type shows that came out after that. It was like sickening.
Like think of how many like different MOBAs there are. Like there's like, you know, one League of Legends is super. I don't know which one came out first. I don't have like MOBA knowledge, but like, you know, they have so many of those. And or think of like, you know, like an Overwatch type of game, like you know, the character based like shooters or whatever. Like there's so many like free cheap ones like that, and like even like Monster Hunter, like that was the first one to do that. And now you have like what's that game called? God Eater.
God Eater.
And then you have like Tokuiden Kiwami or whatever. Like those games do fine, but like the original, the OG Monster Hunter is still the biggest one. So like, you know, just it's giving people different options, I guess. But I really don't think people are gonna abandon PUBG, Player Unknown or whatever it's called, to play this other type of game.
Right, and I agree with the both of you. You can't necessarily you can't copyright a genre. Like, there's no necessarily qualifier there. You just can't. So the thing is, though, like, Justin, getting back to your point, a lot of those mods that existed for those games that introduced a Battle Royale mode, they were created by PlayerUnknown himself. PUBG is just him saying, hey, instead of modding one of these existing games, why don't I just take this idea and make it its own game? And I guess, like, the whole complaint is the fact that, like, Fortnite, when it started out, it didn't have this Battle Royale mode to it. The developers just kind of added it in. And I don't want to say last second, because I'm sure actually developing this and getting the coding right for it is fairly difficult and took a lot of time and behind-the-scenes expense. But still, they're openly capitalizing on PUBG's success, which they have every right to. I mean, it's, as you guys argued, that you're going to see imitators and copycats. Fortnite is, sure, they're the first one to copy PUBG's style. They are not going to be the last. There are going to be a lot of these Battle Royale type games coming probably within the next couple of years or so, I would say. And
they gotta get used to it.
Yes. And one final note, though, is this was pointed out in a few articles, and I thought it was a very, very good point. Brendan Green, PlayerUnknown, they're complaining about PUBG, about Epic Games taking PUBG's thunder, but PUBG is developed on the Unreal Engine, which was created by Epic Games. So, I mean, yeah, what is allowable, what is not allowable in the eyes of a developer, a creator, I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, I think it was kind of ridiculous that they brought all this up, that they were complaining about a little competition. I mean, a little competition never hurt anyone.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Hey, that was a great statement to start us off.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it was all right.
All right, this next one's going to Justin. All right, Justin. Nintendo will release an upgraded Switch within the next 6 months.
Upgraded in the sense of, like, better graphics kind of
I'm
stuff?
thinking, if not beefier graphics, like beefier specs, then like more storage space. It'll have better background capabilities, like the Switch. The Switch home screen will have like music. It'll be customizable. There'll be like, I don't know. Yeah, it'll just have like more storage space on it.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna say false. I do think that would eventually come. I don't think it would come in the next 6 months. I think that's something that we would see more towards the middle of the life cycle. I think maybe a couple years from now. Yeah, I think this thing only came out, 6 months ago? And it's doing great. It's selling great. You know, I can't imagine them having to add a whole new hardware revision to their assembly line when they're still trying to get the original one up to meet demand. And, you know, honestly, for what it is, It's doing fine. Like, I mean, we're getting Doom on a Nintendo Switch. We're getting Wolfenstein 2 on it. The NBA 2K18 or whatever the most recent basketball game, apparently that's on the Switch. It is on the Switch. Apparently it's great. It looks great. The only difference is that it runs at 30 frames per second instead of 60, but it still has like all the full features of the other console versions of it. You know, they're all still in this game. And that's kind of surprising to me, you know? And then you got FIFA, you got the WWE game that's coming out. These very, like, graphically demanding games are being... I think we're at a point where technology can optimize games better also, and that even if there is a frame rate drop, that it's still going to look really nice in, you know, HD 1080p, and basically... developers are loving the idea of the portability, so they're going to make the effort to actually get their games onto the system and look well enough to sell. So I know that was a lot, but I do think an upgrade will come in the future, just not in the next 6 months.
Zul?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's going to come in this 6 months. I think it'll come eventually. I don't really see them doing like a graphic upgrade kind of thing. I maybe see them doing like a Switch XL like they did with the 3DS and just making a bigger version of it. Just because, like, I don't have a Switch, but, like, I've played it a couple times, and it feels small in my big, meaty claws. So, I just wish it was a little bit bigger, because I have really long, like, fingers. And I feel like when I hold the little Pro Controller thing, I feel like I'm touching my fingers, because it's, like, teeny. And I kind of want a little more meat on the thing. So, like, if they release something like that to make maybe the screen a little bit bigger and have, like, you know, bigger... storage space and like bigger like dongles or like handles or something, I would buy that. But right now I don't know, it's like it seems so like frail. I feel like I'm gonna snap the thing in half whenever I pick it up. But
right.
Yeah, not in the next 6 months. It's like Justin said, they gotta get this first one out before they start thinking about new ones. And I think people seem pretty satisfied with the way it is now. I think I have abnormally large hands, so that's my only complaint with it. But yeah, it's gonna be a while before they release another one.
Right. My thinking though is maybe with how the Wii U failed commercially, maybe they were necessarily hesitant about how the Switch was going to do, and that's why they didn't add in a lot of the cool features and a lot of the different things that one would expect from a console, because maybe they were thinking, hey, let's not pour a lot of resources into this thing. Maybe it's not going to be a runaway hit. And that would also kind of explain why they didn't make a whole lot of them, especially initially, because they were thinking, you know, we'll just see how this initial batch goes. And now that, now that this thing is selling like gangbusters, I mean, they can't keep this thing on store shelves at this point. They, my thinking is they may be looking into, okay, all right, you know, people are really digging this. Let's add in all these cool features for down the line, because now we know we've really got something here.
Yeah, that's a great point. And you know, the easy answer to this is that of course it's going to happen. I mean, look at the 3DS and how many iterations of that there have been, and it's almost kind of offensive how much different like hardware revisions of it that they're putting out,
that they're still putting out.
And
yeah,
of course,
it's a little ridiculous how many different 3DSs there are.
It's hard because, like, you know, yeah, it's ridiculous, and like every time I see a new deluxe Metroid version or whatever, I get annoyed. But then again, they sell. People keep buying these things, so why wouldn't they keep doing it? You know, so. True. Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of that stuff, a lot of the different colored Joy-Cons, like a lot of all this different like mixture of stuff coming down the line. But for now, I think their main focus should be just getting more of these made to get them in more homes.
Yep, I agree. Zul.
Yo.
This is a, I don't know, this is a big one. Within 3 years, Microsoft will exit the hardware business.
That is a big one. I'm not sure. 3 years. I don't want to say true, but all right, I'll take a hard stance. I'll say true. Maybe not in 3 years, but I think it's coming like fairly soon. Just because I feel like the Xbox is just people are losing interest in it. Like it doesn't really sell in Japan because they got the Sony PlayStation and the Switch over there, and they don't really give a shit about like the Western kind of stuff for the most part. And I feel like even over here in the West, like it's not really doing that great. Like I feel like every game that people get hyped for Xbox, they just cancel it for whatever reason. Like I know Scalebound is a big one, but there was another one like this RPG. I don't remember what it was called. It was like it wasn't as far down the line as Scalebound was, but like, you know, it was in development, and then just for whatever reason they're just like, yeah, canceled, like it's not coming out. So like I think like the audiences, like I don't know how long can you sustain like a gaming console with just like, you know, more Gears of War or more Halo. Like it just seems like not enough content to keep it going. But 3 years, I don't know. Maybe not in 3 years, but I think eventually they're definitely going to be the first ones to go, I think, because even though Sony, like as a company as a whole, is tanking, like the only thing that they're doing good in is like their gaming division. And Nintendo, with the Switch just coming out, like, you know, they're great. So yeah, I think they're probably going to be the first to cash in their chips.
I'm going to say false because of the main reason that Microsoft has some pretty deep pockets. And when the original Xbox came out, it's funny because people don't really realize this, but any other company would have failed immediately. But because they had so much money in the bank, they were able to withstand that like brutal first generation for where they really didn't sell a lot. You know, they had the big clunky controllers, like people were just kind of laughing at it. And towards the end of it, you know, they hung in there and they started selling some of these things. And then when the 360 came out, I mean, that was like, it was crazy the amount, the flux of people that switched from PlayStation to that 360. And in terms of Microsoft versus Sony, Microsoft definitely won that generation. Maybe at the end, PS3 started catching up a bit, but like Microsoft pretty much had a strong hold on that for most of the generation. So, and you know, I don't think their problem is with their hardware. You know, the One X looks incredible, and they obviously know how to make good content. Like what Zul said, their problem is with software. They need exclusives. They have to spend time making deals and getting more exclusives, maybe getting indies more involved, and just putting out more, even if it's bad. Like I feel like a Xbox game comes out maybe once every 2 months or something. Like they just have to put more stuff out there. That's where their resources should be going, not just in the stronger, more graphically demanding hardware. So I like Phil Spencer a lot. I think he's a really good president and just a people's gamer type of figure. And you know, I'm rooting for them. You know, I hope they stick around. I think that they can with, you know, Windows is of course still selling great. PCs are still crushing the market. And if they can figure out a way, if crossplay, if they can get that in for every game basically, where you can play a game via your Xbox One or on the PC to integrate both those types of gamers, I think that'll help them as well. So yeah, I think there's a lot of roads they can take to success. It's just more about the work it's going to take them to get there. And it's going to be difficult, but I think they can do it.
Right. That's a good point about crossplay, because they were the ones who really kind of introduced the concept of, hey, you know, you can play games on our machines and you can play them against other games, like same versions on other platforms, like even the Switch, the PC. Like the Switch, I thought was most surprising, especially because Nintendo, they've always been so like keeping their cards close to the chest. You know, they don't really want to play ball with everyone else, but they're willing to participate in crossplay. Whereas Sony, they're the ones who are being very hardline, saying no, like PlayStation players can only play with other PlayStation players, which, I mean, that's kind of going against the tide at this point, but we'll see if they change their stance. Yeah, but man, the way the Xbox division is going. I think, if I remember their financials correctly, Microsoft, their Xbox division is definitely struggling. Like, they have a lot, like, they're profitable in a lot of areas, but Xbox is not doing really well at the moment. And again, to reiterate what you two said, it's the games. You need these exclusives. You need new, exciting IPs to get people excited and to draw people in. The big reason why last generation you had the Xbox 360 so greatly surpass the PlayStation. Firstly, they had that beefy online system where, I mean, it was just so much better and easier to play online with your friends on the 360 versus how it was on PlayStation or the PS3. I mean, they came out of the gate running with Xbox Live, and they took full advantage of that. Plus, they had a ton of fun games on that system to go out and play. Not to mention, it was more affordable than the PS3. There were many reasons why 360 did better than PS3. But they lost that steam. They lost that momentum. And I don't know, just the way that they're going right now. I mean, Phil Spencer is great. I mean, he's doing. I think he's doing the best he can. But you just got to have the games on the system. And if they keep struggling the way that they are, I mean, Microsoft is a big company, and if they see that a limb on the tree is dying, they're not going to try to save that limb. They're going to cut it off. And I don't know. Maybe it's within 3 years or a little further down the line, but I don't know. I think it's going to happen at some point.
Yeah, I almost wish they took all that time and money and resource of developing the Xbox One X and put that towards just getting more exclusives, more games, more content out there. Because, yeah, graphics are great, but I think a small minority of gamers really care that much about graphics to go out and buy a $500 new system, whereas every gamer wants to play good, new, fun content, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it looks great, but I mean, like, you know, you got Forza. I mean, I'm not a racing guy, but that's really the only game that like sticks out of my mind that was like a big hit at Xbox thing. It's like, come on, like, you know, get something different. Like, it's sports games, shooting games, and racing games. Like, that's pretty much all they have. Like, they got to get different stuff going.
Right. I agree. All right, Justin, this one is for you. And kind of for us, but we'll get to it. There is no one game of the year for 2017.
See, this is hard because I'm of the mindset that picking a single game of the year has always been weird and kind of unfair because there's just so many different play styles and so many different player preferences that go into games. You're rating them on so many different scales. Like, and especially this year when it's like possibly one of the most chock full gaming years we've had ever, I would say that, I forget how you phrased it, but there is not a one game of the year.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that statement. So true.
All right. Zul?
I was actually thinking about this the other day because I was like thinking about like game of the year and the different like criteria that is, because it goes like, I don't know, like how I feel like the industry just kind of goes by like how well received it was and not really how much fun it is or how much hours people put into it. Like, for example, like, you know, I put a ton of hours into Destiny 2 these past couple I guess 2-3 weeks that it came out, but honestly I don't think I would call it game of the year. Like, it's fun and I like playing it, but like I don't know, it doesn't really have like a deep impact on me. I mean, that's maybe it's different for me because like I'm a big RPG guy and I like stories a lot, but like I was thinking about it and I think like Fire Emblem Echoes might be my game of the year, and I think it's pretty safe for me to say that like pretty safe for me to nail down that one as the one game that like really like was great this year. I think I don't know. It's hard to tell. Like not just this year, but any year. Like I always think like in terms of like story, I guess, and like impact, and not just like gameplay. I don't know. I'm a little bit different, but this year in particular, I'm gonna say false because that I mean, the year's not over yet. There's still like
that is a good point.
There's still Shadow of War that's coming out. There's still Assassin's Creed that's coming out. I love those games. Yeah, I don't know. For right now, as we stand in September, I'm gonna say false because Fire Emblem Echoes was like amazing. I love that game like so much. Like I've been a Fire Emblem fan since the GBA generation when like they first came to America, and this is like my favorite one. Like it's amazing. I love that game. So yeah, false. I'm gonna say that one is game of the year for me.
Yeah, totally. Because if someone came up to me and said Destiny 2 is the best game of the year, I'm not gonna say no, you're full of shit, get out of my face. I'm gonna say okay.
Also, what a rude thing just to say in general.
Like, it varies for person to person. Like, you know, like how can you specifically tell somebody no, you're wrong, that game is not the game of the year, this game that I like is the game of the year, you know? And it's also hard because we're going to be doing this at the end of the year on this very podcast, and you know, Chris and I are going to work together to figure out a good system of how we want to do it our way. But you know, it's just going to be tough because there's just a lot of like, there has to be a lot of understanding of everyone that like it's a lot of just personal preference and what game really spoke to you individually the most throughout the whole year.
Right. It's always weird when you have these different awards and award shows for the arts. Like, I mean, you have movies, they have the Oscars, TV is the Emmys, you've got the Grammys, the Tonys. These are all like objective awards that people are voting on to say which one of these artistic endeavors is objectively the best. But you can't put an objective rating system on something like art. Art means different things to different people. Something that moves somebody else is going to draw yawns from a different person. And I feel like video games at this point have entered that discussion as well, especially when you have things like the Game Awards and their Golden Joystick Awards. And there's just so many different awards that people out there have for like saying, oh, this game is the game of the year. You know, it beat out the competition. Well, not necessarily, because like Zul, like you said, for you, Fire Emblem Echoes is your game of the year so far. I mean, right now it's a pretty safe bet, but we don't know what's coming down the line that may knock that game from its perch for you.
Right.
But I think I'm safe in saying that, like, if you were to go on a lot of the major gaming sites at the end of this year, very few, if any, will actually give Fire Emblem Echoes their Game of the Year award.
Oh, yeah, definitely not. It's probably not even... It's not even on the radar. It's not even, like, in the running.
Yeah, they're not even going to mention
Yeah.
it.
Right.
Like,
unless it's like...
off handheld stuff.
Yeah, unless they specifically focus on, like, handheld Game of the Year or something, where it may get nominated.
Yeah.
But for you, like, that is not going to be, like, an accurate reflection of how you feel. You're, like, people aren't going to look at that game and say, like, oh, you know, like, why do you enjoy this game? It didn't win Game of the Year. Well, no, it's your Game of the Year. Just like me right now, I don't know. I've played a lot of really, really, really good games this year. I mean, like, for a long time, I thought Breath of the Wild was going to be my no doubt about it slam dunk game of the year. But there have just been so many good games and so many other good experiences I've had this year. I'm not as 100% sure about that, which just speaks to how amazing this year has been, because Breath of the Wild is incredible.
Yeah, and I just want to mention really briefly that also the system is weird where, all right, let's say you got Mario Odyssey is coming out in October 27th, right? That's
Yes.
like towards the end of the year.
I know where you're going
That's
with
going to be
this.
fresh on a lot of people's minds, okay? Meanwhile, Resident Evil 7 came out in January of this year. People might even forget that's a game that came out this year. And are you going to think about that the same way you're going to think about Mario Odyssey when you're voting for games at the end of the year? Odds are you're not. You know, it's just like the whole system just seems a little flawed in too many different ways to accurately display what you're trying to display.
Well, it wouldn't be a Zul episode if I didn't bring up The Witcher 3. So the only thing about that I can counter with that is when that came out in March, that was the same year Fallout 4 came out in November, and it's still, Witcher 3 still creamed like all the games that came out later in the year. That's the only
that's
the only counter argument I have.
I think that came out in May, I think.
Oh, May, you're right. Yeah.
Right. That was a
but yeah, no, you're still
that was a
right.
special case though, where I mean, like this year we have a ton of incredible games that all could be Game of the Year. I mean, 2015, you had The Witcher 3, which I think was everybody's like slam dunk, no doubt about it, choice for that specific year. But again, I mean, different strokes for different folks. That was the same year that Undertale came out. Maybe people thought Undertale was their Game of the Year for that year.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I mean, they're wrong, but, you know, there it is.
All right.
All right, so, next statement. This one's for Zul. Games need to cost more than $60 if the industry wants to survive.
Well, is this like consumer me or is this like rational me who wants more games? Because consumer me says no way, but rational me says maybe. I don't know, because I know games are getting really expensive now, and I feel like a lot of that is people want like, I don't even know if gamers want like the best graphics. I feel like that's just like an industry thing. They're just like, I think they think that like, oh, gamers want the best graphics and they want it like real life. It's like, no, I mean, I'm cool with like games that look like games, you know, like Mario Odyssey isn't like, you know, realistic people and stuff, but like that game looks great. Like, I don't know, like it's weird. Yeah, no, I don't want games to increase. They're already really expensive in my book. And also, it's like a gamble because the game might suck and you just sank like $60 on it. But I think the way that a lot of people or companies are going to like gear that is microtransactions, which is also not fun. So it's like, I forget. I think it was NBA 2K18 where it's like it's $60 for the game, and then like all the microtransactions together are like $120. And again, you don't have to buy them, but it's like it's there. It's an option. The companies are saying like, we think this stuff is good enough for you to spend $120 extra on the $60 base game. So I don't like the way that's going either. Like if it's meaningful DLC and like, you know, it's good, but if it's just like, you know, get Michael Jordan sneakers for $20, like it's stupid. Like who's gonna want to spend extra money on that stuff? But I like it preys on like impulsive gamers who like maybe like they want a sword or something that gives them extra strength. Which, by the way, all those DLC weapons and items, they always get crappy like like an hour into the
Instantly,
game.
yeah.
It's like you spend $5 for a sword that's good for like the first dungeon, and then like literally the next area you get a better weapon. Like it's so stupid. I hate that stuff. But back to the point at hand. They might have to go up in money, but I really, really, really do not want them to, because I remember, well, back in the day, games were really expensive too. Like Super Nintendo games were like $50.
Yeah, some of them were like $80.
Yeah, and that was back in '90s bucks, which is better
Yeah.
inflation. So
Right.
I don't
Just
know.
for inflation, that's about $100,000 in today's dollars.
That sounds about right. You're the economist.
I'm not an economist. I'm an accountant. Damn it.
Right. So yeah, short answer, maybe, but I really don't want them to. Justin.
Is the industry suffering right now with games at $60? Because I feel like they're still doing pretty damn
I don't think
good.
suffering is the right word, but maybe like to like supplement the cost of games, because games cost like upwards of like tens of tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars sometimes in rare cases.
I just finished reading Kotaku writer Jason Schreier, his book Blood, Sweat, and Pixels. Really good book. Like, I highly recommend it, especially if you're interested in game development and how things go on behind the scenes. And the general consensus within the games industry, like, the number can be lower, the number can be higher, but on average, a game costs about $10,000 per person per month that a game is in development. I mean, like, that's those costs can really add up quickly. So, like, say you have a team of like 100 people, that's $1 million right there just for 1 month, and that includes everything: paying them overhead, making sure they have equipment. $1 million right there. And if it's like a 2-year development cycle, then that's $24 million just right there. I mean, you're not including like any potential cost overruns or delays in any of that. I mean, that's just right there. And I mean, like, that's, I don't know, you have to sell a lot of units once you develop a game for that long, literally just to break even. And that's assuming that the game that you're putting out is even something people want to play or is worthwhile. Especially, like, not just that stuff, like, there's that financial cost, but then there's also like the emotional and physical toll that it takes on a lot of these game developers at the end, because they go through, especially in the last several months of the game's development, they go through that crunch process where they're working like 100 hours a week or some ridiculous like that just to try to get this video game out there. I was reading, I forget, it was Uncharted 4. One of the developers, he lived on the other side of Los Angeles from where Naughty Dog Studio is in Santa Monica, I believe. He literally, during crunch time, rented a second apartment to be like right next to the office, so that way he wouldn't have to waste time traveling across the city. He could just literally be right there because the crunch was so bad.
All right, my argument for that stuff is, how is that our fault? Like, why should we have to pay for like these studios that are just going way too far above and beyond? Like, you know, you'll have a AAA game that's made by a studio that has like 1,000 people in it, right? That's doing all this different stuff, and like you just have one guy that's dedicated to making the cloak of the assassin on Assassin's Creed like move correctly or something like. But then you also have a team of maybe a much smaller team of maybe like 100 people that can still put out like an incredibly fun, great game. You know, and then like, to combine these two things in the same way, it just seems kind of weird, you know? Like, I don't really understand. Like, maybe we don't want these, like, over ridiculous, like, grand scale, huge games that take 10 years to make. Like, when you can honestly, as clearly been shown, not just by smaller game studios, but even independent developers, or even one freaking guy for Stardew Valley, that you can still make an incredible game. You know, with a lot less people, and like this, it's all about like this dedication and how you want to present yourself. You know, so like it's weird to me that would be something that we would have to consider.
I think the argument for that is that didn't Stardew Valley take that guy like years to make by himself?
Took 5 years.
Yeah, the output cycle of having more people versus having less people, like I know, like you said, like, you know, these games are getting really bloated now with like graphical capabilities and all this stuff. But I think the what Chris was going into, like how many people are on a team. So like you can have like, you know, 1,000 people make a game in 1 year, or like 5 people make a game in like 6 years or something crazy like that. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think the fact that they want to keep games coming, because I mean, think about this year. Like if we had to, I mean, I don't know, this might be like selfish, but like having to wait for a game longer than we have now, like, because like they tease games like, you know, years ahead. So it's like, oh, look forward to this, like that, like the, you know, I'm not going to bring Square Enix because they're the worst, but like even in that Nintendo Direct where the like we joked about this, where like we were saying like someday they're just going to say like, oh yeah, I have an idea for a game, and that like that's that's enough for a trailer. But the thing about what the Pokemon guy said, the guy, he was sitting at a desk and they put a camera on him. He's like, yeah, we're making a Pokemon game. Like, how long is that going to come out now? Like, it's going to take like they don't have anything to show. Like, you know what I mean? So like, it's I think it's the amount of stuff they can churn out. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm not saying it in a good way.
Right. I think it's I don't know, like part of it too is, I mean, there is a large user base out there of people who play video games who do want like these awesome graphics. I mean, I see your point, Justin, where you have a lot of these smaller teams who are able to put out these incredible, wonderful games that they stick with you for a long while. But not everybody wants like those indie type games with scaled down graphics. There are a lot of people out there who want to experience like it. Like Destiny 2 is a really amazing game, but it adds that extra. It has the extra polish to it where you're walking around the game and you just look around and you're just like, wow, like look at this environments, like look at this world, this is incredible. Now, does it need any of that stuff to be a really good game? No, the gameplay itself stands fine on its own, but that extra polish helps elevate it and makes it kind of stick in your craw a little bit more. It's an extra bit of development that the team at Bungie thought would be worth it to further immerse players in the experience. And I feel like a lot of players out there, by the way they're playing and a lot of the screenshots they're taking, myself included, tend to agree with that assessment, that they're that they are blown away by how amazing this game looks. I don't know, like I'm with you in that like a lot of games don't necessarily need that stuff, but if it's there, when it's there, it's just it really is it's mind-blowing.
The people that work on these games, that put all this time into it, because we all know how hard it is, they absolutely deserve to get paid properly. But at this point, if games cost more than they are now, I'm just not going to buy as much games as I would now, because I just simply can't afford it. So I think there has to be some sort of balance that they can do, because I mean, $60 already for me in my this current stage of my life is a lot to drop on a game.
Oh no, me too.
And if that's going to go up, I'm going to be playing less games. That's simply my point I would make.
Right. I feel like a lot of the changes would need to come in on the back end there, because there needs to be something these companies can do to reduce costs without subjecting all of their developers to this horrible crunch, which leaves everyone just burnt out so badly. Like Bruce Straley, I believe his name is. He was that dev on Uncharted 4 who got that second apartment in Los Angeles. He took a year-long hiatus off of Uncharted 4 after that game came out, and just the other day, as he was coming back from that hiatus, said, "Yeah, I'm leaving the company." Like he literally left Naughty Dog. It's not a. This is not a big deal, because he was there for during the Uncharted 4 development. He was there for development on The Last of Us. I mean, he has left his mark on Naughty Dog, and losing him is really a big loss for that studio, and for the time being, for the industry. Because, I mean, who knows how much time he needs to take off now to get his head straight.
Yeah, it's true. I think the model they have now, even though I don't like it, seems fair. Like, have a set price and then just have extras if you want to further support them. Like, if it's a game you really like and you want to, even if it's a crappy sword you're not going to use, if you really like the game, then I guess, I don't know, throw them in a couple extra bucks. I don't know. It's dumb and I don't like it, but it seems to be working for right now.
All right. Last statement. Justin, this one is for you.
Lay it on.
All right. Are you ready?
I'm born ready.
All right. Luigi will one day get the respect that he deserves.
Okay, false. He will not, but that's not a negative. I think people love an underdog. I think they're more interesting. They're more fun. You root for them more. And I think that is a solid place for Luigi to be in right now. He doesn't need to be the face of Nintendo, okay? Let his brother handle that, okay? People, one day, we're going to get really burnt out on Mario, okay? And we're going to need someone else, a fresh look, a fresh spin, and everyone's going to come crawling back to Luigi, okay? You remember Luigi's Mansion on the GameCube? What a fresh, fun take that was.
I remember that.
And then, years later, maybe 10, 12 years later, things are starting to get a little stale around the Mario front. Here comes Luigi again with Luigi's Mansion 2 Dark Moon on the 3DS. And that was an even better game than the first one. Okay? So I'm totally okay with one Luigi game a decade. If it's such a great, fresh, fun game to play. Luigi, keep doing what you're doing, buddy. We all love you. Oh, and a quick side note, of the two, Luigi is Miyamoto's favorite.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna agree. False. It's weird. It's like we,
Mamma mia.
like you were saying. It's like he works better as the second banana. He's that's kind of his whole character. Like if he actually got respect, it would be weird. You know what I mean? And like he got a whole year, and people still don't respect him.
That's true.
So it's I don't know.
I almost forgot about that. A year of
what's it gonna take at this point for him to get some respect?
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, the year of Luigi also happened to be one of the worst years in Nintendo's 100+ year history.
Hey, come on, man. We got so many great Luigi games there.
Yeah, but I mean,
Did we really?
Yeah, we got Dark Moon. We got that new Super Mario Bros. Like DLC thing that stars Luigi.
Oh, new Super Mario Brothers. That doesn't excite me.
Yeah. But it was not the worst year, okay? And where's Yoshi's year, huh? He doesn't even have one.
Yeah.
Yoshi doesn't need his own year to try to prop up his own image, okay?
Yeah, he just needs a yarn.
Oh,
Hey,
snap.
these games are great.
Yeah, I guess. But, nah. Because it's like, Mario's the face of the company, and he's got to stay squeaky and, like, clean and family-friendly. But Luigi can do whatever he wants, you know what I mean? So, like, he works better as, like, they can have, like, the angry Luigi Mario Kart face meme for a while. They can have, him be, like, a weirdo and do creepy things. And, like, it's okay because he's...
Luigi's locker room sneak through.
Yeah, I love that game. So, like, Mario can be the face and be the handsome guy that everybody's, oh, it's Mario, let's all hug him. And then Luigi can be the Donald Duck and, like, curse and swear and do whatever he wants. So I think
Totally agree.
I think he's
Totally agree.
fine where he is. I don't want him to get respect. I want him to stay in the mud and be one of the everyman that we all love and share a beer with.
Mario's the serious one, Luigi's the fun one, and that's how it always will be.
Exactly.
All right. I have nothing to add to any of that.
Fair enough.
All right, so yeah, that's the end of my list. So we got through all of our true and falses.
Yay.
Dude, great list, man.
That was a
I
good
think
list.
we had some really good conversations on that
It
one.
was a good list.
I agree. Yeah, a lot of good talk there. I'm very happy that we were able to squeeze some good talk out of there.
Yep, I'm proud of you, boy. You done right by me.
Thank you, Zul. Can I eat now?
Well, we'll see. You gotta work your way up from this.
Okay. I'm so cold.
Zul, buddy, thanks for being on, man.
Sure. I hope it sounds okay. I'm sounding a little nasally on this end.
No, you're you're
this-
sounding fine. Justin
Okay.
cut his parts.
Yeah.
You say that every episode and nobody ever gets edited, so I'm tired of that threat.
All right, fine. Yeah, it's an empty threat. Especially because Justin never listens to me anyway. Where I say cut this, add this, it never happens.
It never happens. So I
Never,
can say
ever.
whatever I want.
Yep. Yeah, I'm just like Luigi. I get all the respect I deserve. 0.
Exactly. Perfect segue. Perfect ending.
Oh boy. Well, yeah, good work, everybody. I think that's going to wrap it up for this week. Remember, Press A repeatedly posts new episodes at iTunes, Google Play, and on Podbean. If you like what you hear, please take a moment to rate and review the show, or tell your friends about us. It helps other people find the podcast and really helps us grow. And thank you to all who have rated, reviewed, and subscribed so far. We love you.
You can follow us on our Facebook page and on Instagram at Press A Repeatedly. We're also on Twitter at Press A Repeatedly. I'm at cgold113. Justin is at oaf7724, and Zul is at Zuliboy. You can email us any questions or comments at parpodcast@gmail.com. That's all for this episode. Justin, Chris, and Zul signing off. And remember to chop up all the mushrooms for the final order of mushroom soup. Press A repeatedly.